Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my lovely students. How are you doing? I hope you all are doing well. I welcome you in Pakistan International School TAIF's virtual learning class for the subject Science for grade 6. We have started, my dear students, chapter number 6. So today we will continue that and we will see the next topics in this chapter of air, and we will see about oxygen, carbon dioxide, and some rare gases. Let's have a review of the previous topic, that in composition of air, if you see, lots of gases are present. So excuse me for that. Yes, so in composition of air, lots of gases are present. But the major gas is nitrogen, which is of 78%. On second number, air is composed of oxygen gas, which is 21%, then carbon dioxide 0.03 to 0.04%, and then some rare gases are also present in the air. And with that, air is also composed of water vapors, ozone, smoke, and dust particles as well. So before, in the previous topic, we have studied about air, its uses and importance, and we have seen nitrogen gas. So today we will see the second largest gas which is present in the atmosphere, in the air, that is oxygen. We know that 21% of oxygen is present in the atmosphere. First of all, we will see some of the properties of oxygen. What is the formula of oxygen? Just to remind it. Just you see in this diagram also, that is O2. I'm not talking about symbol, I'm talking about formula. So formula means it is a molecule, and when two atoms of oxygen are chemically combined, so they form oxygen molecule. So oxygen is 21% in our air, and it is having certain properties, certain characteristics. And number one is, this is the second major gas in the air. First is nitrogen, that is 78. Second major is oxygen, that is 21%. So what is the main characteristics and properties of the gas oxygen? Is it is colorless. Colorless gas, and this gas is slightly soluble in water. Due to this property, the oxygen gas which is present in the atmosphere, it is not completely dissolved in the water, in the oceans. So that's why we are having more amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. Otherwise, all will be dissolved in the water. So that will create a problem for the land or organisms. It is very active gas. Yes, due to its activity, like activity for combustion purpose, because it helps in combustion. Combustion means burning. It helps for burning of other chemicals. So, like it is used as different fuels in different vehicles, like in rockets, etc. And but this activity, because this is very active gas, this activity is decreased or lessened when we are having nitrogen, 78% of nitrogen in the atmosphere, because nitrogen is a non-active gas, non-reactive gas. So due to that, uh, oxygen just perform its activity in a controlled environment, like we are having the controlled environment in the presence of nitrogen. It has no smell. It is colorless. It is smellless gas. That's why we inhale oxygen. So when we inhale oxygen, we don't feel any type of smell, isn't it? So it is a smellless gas. Oxygen does not burn, as we have just talked before also. It does not burn, but it helps in burning process as well as rusting of iron. We have seen rusting of iron in the previous topic, that when iron reacts with oxygen in the presence of water, so the metal, especially the iron, becomes spoiled, corroded, and it becomes lose its its uh, shining surface, and then a brown layer like will be formed on iron. Now we will see some uses of oxygen, that oxygen is having a great role and great importance in our daily life. So number one, we see very important. Without that, we cannot live. All living organisms cannot survive without that. That is, we use oxygen for respiration. So plants give oxygen out and we inhale that for our respiration, and we exhale carbon dioxide, and plants use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. But with that, plants also do respiration process also, because it is also a living organism. Number two, it is essential for burning of wood, coal, and natural gas. As we have seen before, that oxygen helps in burning. So everything, every fuel which burns, that burns in the presence of oxygen. Wood, coal, gas which we burn in our home, uh, that is liquefied petroleum gas, that is LPG, which is in the cylinders in our home, that also, because in the atmosphere oxygen is present, so they react with oxygen and it starts to burn. What is, how does the things burn, like how oxygen helps in burning? We can see here, this blue one is oxygen, this red one is any type of fuel, for example natural gas, coal, or wood. So both of them just react, and they make the fire, heat is produced, and due to this heat, what happened, uh, and the fire is produced. We will see the third use of oxygen, that it dissolves in water, not more but slightly dissolves in water, and this property keeps the animals, aquatic animals, alive under the water. Not only animals but plants. We can say the underwater dissolved oxygen cycle. You can see here animals and plants under the water, they can breathe easily. So the oxygen dissolved or mixed in the water with the wind, waves, currents, uh, which move, the wind waves, or like the currents of the water, just they rotate every time, and the oxygen from the air dissolved in the water. As well as the second input of that, that plants, aquatic plants and other plants on the land, they do photosynthesis, and they do exhale oxygen that is dissolved in the water, and all the organisms that take that oxygen which is present in the water, and they just survive over there. Number four, that some patients of lungs and heart diseases need oxygen in hospitals. Yes, this is a great fact, that if any patient, any lung and heart diseases, not only those patients, but any type of disease patients just come into the hospital, or accident or like that type of condition is done, so they are given with the oxygen to breathe properly, and that oxygen can save the life of that patient. The next one is mountain climbers, sea divers, astronauts carry oxygen cylinders for breathing. Yes. So likewise, you can see the lots of uses of oxygen, that this is the cylinder which the scuba diver is having at the back, as well as astronaut is having at the back, and like that the mountain climbers which go for climbing the mountains higher and higher, because at the like at the height oxygen gets decreased, so they need oxygen for that purpose, as well as from the surface of the earth under the water the oxygen is also decreased, because in the water the person cannot breathe, otherwise water can just uh, like go into their lungs and the person can die. So they use these type of cylinders for breathing purpose. Next one is, it is used in welding and cutting of metals. We have discussed this before also in chapters metals. So like here oxygen flame is used for welding, just joining of the two metals, as well as cutting of the metal. That very sharp beam of that spark is used for cutting the metals also, and they have to wear a proper costume, proper goggles for that, because the spark is too like sharp, and that can damage the eyes especially. Next one, that rockets use liquid oxygen during their space journey. Like you see, when the rockets move towards the space, though, like against the force of gravity, they have to move upward, and they have to cut the path of the this air, because the air is having, and the troposphere is great pressure, as well as against the gravity. Like the rocket has to um, compete with lots of forces here, so for that it needs a fuel to move up. So for that fuel, uh, kerosene oil is used, but with kerosene oil liquid oxygen is also used. That is very very important to produce a thrust in the fuel for propulsion of the rocket into the air. Otherwise, it can be difficult uh, to compute this whole pressure of the air. So this type of tank, we can say that present under the bottom of the rocket, in which the fuel and liquid oxygen is present. Yes, dear students, let's talk about another gas. That is what? You can see the formula of that gas, because that is also a big molecule. Carbon and two oxygens is there. So that is CO2. CO2 means carbon dioxide. Di means two. So oxygen, oxide. So carbon dioxide. So let's talk about this gas. We know that carbon dioxide is used and is used by the plants for photosynthesis. So we have seen before its percentage in the atmosphere, that is 0.03 to 0.04% in the atmosphere. So we are going to see some properties of carbon dioxide here. Okay, if we see its properties, so we'll see that amount of carbon dioxide in air is less than 1%. We know this. So that is from 0.03 to 0.04%. But that is very much important gas regarding living organisms, and especially the plants. It is a colorless gas. Yes, like oxygen, it is also colorless gas. It has no smell, definitely, because it is present in the atmosphere. We can't feel the smell of this, what type of odor it is having, but it is having a sour taste. How can you say that it is having a sour taste? You can just assume that when you drink fizzy drinks or carbonated drinks like Coke, Pepsi, etc. So what do you feel when you just drink that one? That is having sour taste? Yes, due to that carbon dioxide present in the that fizzy drink. So like that is confirmed that it is having a sour taste. So it is slightly soluble in water like oxygen. So carbon dioxide also dissolved or soluble in water, but in very slow amount. Or but its solubility is said to be as the property of to be dissolved in the liquid. Solubility means to dissolve in the liquid. So it can be dissolved um, rapidly and in more quantity, like its solubility is increased under high pressures. So you can see that in fizzy drinks, in carbonated drinks, this carbon dioxide is filled with in the water with the high pressure and just sealed off and closed with the cap. So when we open that, just that carbon dioxide oxide wants to release into the air, so that makes the sound fizz. That is the escaping of carbon dioxide. So under high pressure it can be dissolved more. So it is heavier than air. It is heavier than air, although its amount is very less, but it is heavier than air. And you can see its molecule also. So if we talk about oxygen, so oxygen is in 1 and 2 oxygen gas, but carbon is having the great like its atomic mass is more, its weight is more, so it is also makes the air heavier, but it is heavier than air. It can turn lime water milky. Lime water milky, and how does it you can see here, calcium carbonate is dissolved in the water. That is a laboratory experiment. So what will happen when we dissolve calcium carbonate into the water? So it gets clear water. But gradually when we blow in the water, like blow in the balloon, so what will happen, because we exhale carbon dioxide, so due to exhaling carbon dioxide is added in this lime water, and this transparent change into a very light color, and then it change into milky appearance due to more carbon dioxide presence. So carbon dioxide does not burn, it does not support the burning process. So opposite of that, yes, it puts out the fires. So now we will see some uses of carbon dioxide, which is very important in our daily life. Maybe you might have observed or not. Number one is all green plants absorb carbon dioxide from the air to make food. Yes, we have discussed it lots of time that plants use atmospheric carbon dioxide and release oxygen, which is utilized by other organisms for respiration. Next one, carbon dioxide is filled in soda water bottles under some pressure. You can see carbon dioxide is released out from the bottle. But this is a very interesting science experiment that Mentos is are added into the soda bottle, and that like increases uh, the escaping of carbon dioxide and making bubbles in more and rapid quantity while adding the Mentos in it. That's why that carbon dioxide is flushed out. Next one is a fire extinguisher releases carbon dioxide to put out fires. Yes, you can see here. Maybe you have seen these red cylinders everywhere in schools, hospitals, in buildings, airports, stations, etc., in vehicles. To put out fire, there is a gas under pressure. So what happened when there is fire? The gas is released out because it does not burn and does not support in burning, so definitely it puts out fire. Then we see the next one, that when cake is baked, bubbles of carbon dioxide are formed and they make the cakes fluffy. Why it is happen? It does not happen by itself. Might be you have added something here. Yes, you have added while making cake. That is what? Baking soda. That is for baking purpose. Like it means baking powder, baking soda. When we give heat or in the presence of heat, what will happen? In the presence of heat, that baking soda releases carbon dioxide, and by the releasing of that carbon dioxide gas, what will happen? The cake will rise and it will become fluffy. Okay, the next use of this carbon dioxide is very important regarding the freezing of food or preservation of the food. So you see, dry ice, we have talked about dry ice before, but here you can see that is also used for preservation of food. So this is a dry ice. Dry ice is what? It is actually solid carbon dioxide, and solid under low temperature and high pressure, the gas can be transformed into the solid, and this solid is used for preservation of the food, that is having freezing temperature. So you can see here, this is a container in which dry ice is filled, and you can add your any type of food which you want to store for longer period of time, and it will not be spoiled. Yes, dear students, that is like a new technology, but very important use of dry ice in the crushed form. When we crush the dry ice in powder form, so this powder is carried up to the height by some aeroplane, some rockets, like whatever it is. They sprinkle the dry ice, or we can say solid carbon dioxide, on the clouds, and by that what happens, the water vapors which are present in the clouds, they become condensed, like they become thick and bigger, and they formed into the liquid water in the form of rain. We know that uh, clouds are formed by evaporation of the water, but there are dry lands. When there are dry lands, they don't have much water to make the condensed clouds. They make the clouds but not condensed like this, which can have the rain fall. So what happened on these type of white clouds which are not condensed, not concentrated, this dry ice is sprinkled, and the waters vapors present in the clouds, they become condensed, thick and bigger, like to fall as a rain. So the process is done in Australian desert, but it is like applied on other places as well. Dear students, let's talk about some rare gases because they are also the part of the air. So if you see there are five: helium, Ne for neon, argon, krypton, and xenon. These are the gases which are present in the atmosphere, but in very, very, very minor quantity. Maybe xenon is 0.0000009%, and like this. So, in very less quantity, it is present. That's why they are called a rare gases. Means they are present in very trace like amount, very rare amounts, and they do not react with other elements because they are having complete shell of electrons. They don't need any type of electron, and they don't want to give their electron to other elements. That's why they are non-reactive gases, as well as they do not cause burning. So they are present in rare amounts. That's why they are called rare gases. And you can see the colors. You can see different colors or different gases when how do they glow in the tubes. They are having different colors. So that's why they are having different daily uses as well. If you see the uses of rare gases, so first of all, we'll talk about argon. Argon is used in electric bulbs and fluorescent lamps. We have just discussed this before as well. Um, that in electric bulbs, nitrogen gas or argon gas is used to fill to increase the efficiency of tungsten element, which can which glows and lightened and give the light. So in this tube, you can say you can see the argon gas is glowing like this, and that's why it is used in the fluorescent, means lightened bulb, and electric bulb as well. Dear student, the next gas is neon. Neon is used in the colorful advertisement lights. Yes, in the night when you go outside, you can see amazing colorful advertisement lights on the streets, on the shops, and you can have the example of this glowing lights. They are that neon gas is used here. Yes, dear students, our next one is helium. Helium is very, very important gas, and it is very light gas, very light gas. That's why it is present in the first in the periodic table, and it is very light gas like hydrogen. Helium is also used in the balloons to fill the balloons, but mostly it is used to fill weather balloons. These are weather balloons which are launched here, and in these boxes which are hanging down, they are having some instruments like thermometer, like to measure the like amount of air, to measure GPS. So these instruments are present here, they installed here in these boxes, and what will happen, they are connected with the satellites and transformer, and that all the weather changes because they go high and high, because this is the lightest gas. So wherever they go in the area. So they tell the temperature, the amount of air over there, and location over there in the computers which are connected uh, on the land, on the ground. Yes, then the next very important part of the air is the water vapors. So very small amount of water vapors in the is present in the air, but amount of water vapors in the air changes with changing weathers. Yes, heavy amount of water vapors in the air cause rain. Definitely amount of water vapors, if very heavy present over there, it means there is rain around, as well as if water vapors in the air control the rate of evaporation from plants and animals as well. Like evaporation means the release of water vapors, from the surface. So evaporation from the plant's body is also done, and animals also do in like hot days. There is sweating, perspiration, urination. So all this just accumulate, are the cause of accumulation of the water vapors, as well as evaporation from the surface of the water bodies, like from the oceans, lakes, and water reservoirs. Water goes up and from the clouds. The presence of water vapors in the air sometimes produces smoke. So what is smoke? If you see smoke, it is the combination of two words. Number one is smoke, you see here, and number two is fog. You can see here, fog is formed in the winter when water vapors are condensed, so they don't move up, they just remain near to the surface of the earth. And this is smoke because this is released from different vehicles by the combustion, burning, and from the factories also. And this is hot, so it just releases into the air. But what happened in the winter when there is too much pollution over there? So these particles of chemicals are stuck with the water vapors, and due to that, this condition can be formed. Like in winter, this is a fog by the sunlight also. This this does not escape out, but it becomes heavy, and these chemicals are just react with this fog and sunlight with the water vapor. So what happened, they are just remain near to the surface of the earth, and this is a very dangerous condition regarding the health of living organisms, especially the human beings, because in this environment, this is very hard to breathe. And almost 1 year or two, like in Pakistan, the same situation was happened, and the people just got stuck into their homes for some days due to this condition. Because in this, while you go out, you have to just use mask, because it's hard to breathe in this smoke condition, and this can cause lung cancer, skin cancers, and irritation in the eyes, and lots of other problems by which the human can be their health can be affected a lot. Yes, last but not the least, my dear students, last topic of this chapter is just particles. They are also the part of the air, when you see in the air, most probably you see the air is clean, but lots of dust particles, because they are very small, so they remain in the air for like different times. So if there is, we can say, if there is dust storm and strong winds, so lots of like there can be storm of the dust, so that can be affected the health, that can be affected the health of the persons. But the smokes, dust particles are also present in the air, and we can see dust particles in the air. How you can see it? You close all the rooms and windows and uh, just let the sunlight enter the room through the window, through a small hole, so you see the dust particles in from the hole. You can see there are lots of water vapors also, but there are lots of dust particles also, which are roaming around all the time in the air. Dear students, we have seen in this chapter about air some important gases, their properties, and their uses. I hope that you got lots of information about different gases and their qualities, their usage, and in our daily life, as well as you have enjoyed the lecture, I hope. And like you have to revise your lecture on a regular basis, and inshallah we'll meet in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz, and wish you all the best.